Since origins, negative armed movements are active in murder and armed robbery, kidnapping and forced recruitment of children, and targeting of infrastructure and the capability of the state, and cause these crimes to terrorize the citizens and causing the displacement of thousands of residents. Negative movements excel in the proxy war and to work as mercenaries in a number of Sudan's neighboring countries. They have participated in the internal war of Libya and South Sudan. Represented movements are Justice and Equality Movement, Sudan Liberation Army, Minawi faction, and Sudan Liberation Army, Abdul Wahid faction.
علاقة غزافي مع الحركات دارفور بشكل عام.
Gaddafi's relationship with Darfur movements had begun in general since 2002-2003. At that time, there were only two movements, the movement of Abdul Wahid and Jem. Muammar Gaddafi was seeking to unite movements in a single movement and then backing them by a great support to overthrow regime in Khartoum.
هذا الأمر عند بداية الثورة الليبية.
At the beginning of the Libyan revolution against Gaddafi, Gaddafi called on Khalil Ibrahim for a meeting and identified together how to share the justice and equality movement and support the Gaddafi regime against the Libyan people. Negative movements participated in the fighting with the ex-Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, where the Jem had killed thousands of Libyan citizens. We were coordinating with Gaddafi's son Khamis in a joint operation room, and with us also Major General Hantouche and Director of the Libyan intelligence. We coordinate well, and we have entered into a lot of joint operations for the benefit of the Libyan regime. In the year 2015, Jem participated again in the attack of the Libyan city Al-Kufra. Comes the year 2016 to witness the participation of negative movements with the retired Major General Khalifa Haftar in the attack and occupation of the crescent Libyan area, including Brega, Sidra, Ras Lanuf. And still these negative movements participate in the murder and looting state of Libya up to this day.
2014
In 2014, their leaders met with Major General Haftar in Europe and coordinated again to take advantage of movements in Darfur in Libya on behalf of Major General Haftar. Now, military action between General Haftar and Darfur movements are still going on. Negative movements had not stopped their action in the state of Libya, but extended also to the state of South Sudan to participate in the civil war in favor of the southern state system. And these are serious crimes committed against the people of the South. We have been absent for a long time. A part of this long period is against our will. We are staying in a home of people, and we cannot move without their permission. The first recourse in favor of the South was a direct use of the Army of Revolutionary Front forces in the events of the state of South Sudan and the movements represented in the Justice and Equality Movement and the movement of Minawi and very few of Abdul Wahid Muhammad Nur forces. In the series of regional threat of negative movements, they participated in the so-called Revolutionary Front forces and attacked the Sudanese state and its citizens from the state of South Sudan. This action was clear in the attack of the oil fields of Hijli.
جينا المعركة الثانية في الهجليج.
The second battle in Hijli I have attended, and I was then withdrawn with our forces to the state of South Sudan. At the end of the year 2013, war erupted in the state of South Sudan, and as usual entered the negative movements in proxy wars.
الممارسات اللي تمت في بانتيو.
The practices that took place in Bantu were unspeakable crudely. The entry of Bantu had been twice. In the first time, after the delivery of Bantu to the People's Army, the negative movements of the Justice and Equality Army withdrew. There was systemic looting property and citizens, vehicles, and major banks. It was a great disaster. Big sums of money were looted from every bank in Bantu. This was the first time. These events which Southerners witnessed, it left a backlash among Southerners, especially Nuer. After less than 15 days and the withdrawal of the Jam forces who returned to the border, then came Machar forces and had returned back Bantu. And the control of the city is by Riek Machar forces, which were exerted revenge very clear on the northern traders who were present in Bantu. The UN report on the humanitarian situation issued on the 8th of May 2014 confirmed that the participation of the movements in the southern conflict are negative practices.
مشاركتنا كان في ليبيا في جنوب السودان كان أسوأ مشاركة.
Our participation in the southern Sudan was the worst post because it explained the agenda of interests by the leaders of the Darfur rebel movements, and these interests were going into the pockets of the leaders of the rebel movements. In the year 2016, the negative movements forces participated with the South Sudan People's Army situated in Raja and Tumsaha to regain control of the city Raja, led by Riek Machar of the South Opposition. People's Army North Sector represents the largest negative movement linked to the foreigner, where he continued to receive instructions and orders directly from the state of South Sudan and the SPLA. These helps are included in the disclosures, support, care, and all forms of training.
ودفعت دولة الجنوب بالمناسبة.
State of the South paid large sums of money far away from the amounts that have been looted from the banks, and the witness of this is that the Bank of Bantu is looted about 14 billion Southern Sudan pounds. The participation of negative movements in the conflict in Southern Sudan and Libya threatens the major security situation in Sudan and the countries of the region by increasing the negative effects of illegal immigration and human trafficking, next to the smuggling of arms, drugs, and increase the activity of extremist Islamic groups.
حتى إنه أنا بتذكر في آخر.
A delegation of military experts of foreigners came. They said that they were monitoring very large sum of money in favor of the justice and equality movement in order to work in the trade in East Africa. And they said, now all ports in East Africa and the money for the justice and equality movement is available. This huge sum is the money that had been looted from Libya. The continuation of the work of negative movements in the fields of mercenaries as a proxy war and committing organized crimes in all countries of the region will impact on security and stability economically, politically, and socially, and aggravate the situation in the regional environment, which requires concerted efforts and cooperation, coordination, and complementary of roles to fight and reduce their activities.